Thursday, February 28, the Mark of the Beast. Revelation 13 indicates that the lamb-like beast will have the leading role in the final crisis. This world power will establish a global system in an attempt to control the beliefs of people. This system will mirror medieval Christianity under papal control. Question. Read Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17, along with Deuteronomy 6, verses 4 to 8. What does putting the mark on the right hand or the forehead have to do with the commandments of God? Revelation 13, verses 16 and 17. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man may buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And Deuteronomy 6, beginning at verse 4, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. People of all classes will be pressured to receive the mark of the beast on their right hands or on their foreheads. Just as the seal in the forehead identifies those whom God regards as his in Revelation 7, 3 and 4 and Revelation 14, 1, so the mark of the beast identifies the worshippers of the beast. Revelation 7, verse 3 and 4, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And Revelation 14, 1 to 12, And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. The mark of the beast is not a visible sign of any kind. Its placement on the right hand or on the forehead counterfeits the instruction that Moses gave the Israelites to bind God's law as a sign upon their hands and their foreheads, as we read in Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 8. And that reads, You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. The right hand has to do with behaviour, while the forehead has to do with the mind or mental agreement. Some will choose to receive the mark of the beast to escape the threat of death, while others will be fully committed mentally and spiritually to this apostate system of worship. The central issues in the final crisis will be worship and obedience to God in keeping his commandments, as we read in Revelation 14:12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. The Sabbath commandment in particular will be the test of faithfulness and obedience to God, as the Sabbath is the distinctive sign of the obedience of God's faithful people, as we read in Ezekiel 12. Moreover, I also gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between them and me, that they might know that I am the Lord who sanctifies them. And verse 20, Hallow my Sabbaths, and they will be a sign between me and you, that you may know that I am the Lord your God. So the mark of the beast is the sign of allegiance to the beast. The mark of the beast involves the substitution of a human commandment for God's commandment. The greatest evidence of this fact is the humanly established institution of Sunday. As we see in Daniel 7:25, He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half a time, as the day of worship, instead of the seventh day, the day mandated in Scripture by our Creator. The attempt to change the sign of God's authority to another day is an attempt to usurp the role and power of God himself. We read in the Book of Evangelism, page 234 and 235, "The mark of the beast is the papal Sabbath. When the decree shall go forth enforcing the counterfeit Sabbath, and the loud cry of the third angel shall warn men against the worship of the beast and his image, then those who still continue in transgression will receive the mark of the beast." End of quote. Revelation 13 verse 18 says, "Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. Who is this man? Paul describes him as the man of sin in 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3. This designation points to the papal power symbolized by the sea beast, whose blasphemous name on its heads points to the divine title it claims for itself, supposedly standing in the place of the Son of God on earth. You have been listening to a reading of the Adult Sabbath School Bible Study Guide by Dr. Percy Harold from Queensland, Australia. This service is brought to you by Hope Channel, the Sabbath School Department, and Christian Services for the Blind. Remember, God is always faithful.